Hi, don't worry. You're going to heal. You can do it. And I know that it probably doesn't feel that way, especially when your symptoms are extreme, like extreme fatigue, pure exhaustion, pain, crashes, post-exertional malaise, flu-like symptoms. It feels all too much, but it is possible to heal. And that's why I'm here. My name is Daniel, and I've helped in the past hundreds of people reclaim their lives from all kinds of chronic illnesses such as MCAS or long COVID, chronic fatigue syndrome, and other similar labels. And I did that based on the simple chart that I'm going to show you. And after that, I will also show you 3 simple steps that you can take in order to heal. And I'm going to make that very practical. So let's start. I'm sure that you've seen this model of the autonomic nervous system before, but I'm going to add something to it that will make your healing journey much more practical. And to keep it simple, as a little baby, we are all very, very relaxed. But then something happens and we are getting a little bit stressed. But then we cry again, we feel better, and then we're good again. But this continues again and again and again and again, hundreds of times, maybe thousands of times. And what you're seeing right now is that every time the stress has not been released completely. That means that there was a reaction, maybe something you didn't like, but you couldn't really process it, or you couldn't really create the changes in your life that are necessary to resolve the stress. And over time, it became harder to really relax. And maybe you've noticed this. Maybe you've noticed that it became almost impossible to enjoy yourself or to relax or to sleep well. But every time when something disturbing happened, you got more stressed and it became harder to wind down. Until the moment came where we're entering the freeze response of the autonomic nervous system. And what we're doing then is that we sort of couldn't deal with the stress, let's say the danger, that was coming to us, that was making us feeling stressed. Usually stress also represents fight or flight. That means an emotional state of anger and fear, to fight or to run away and hide, for example. But you couldn't do that. So we were telling ourselves and our brains that we couldn't resolve the danger. And just like an animal that plays dead, we enter the freeze response. And in the freeze response, the limbic system of the brain creates symptoms to make you play dead. And where can you play dead? In your bed, because that's where you're safe. So this is a survival mechanism. Extreme fatigue, crashes, migraines, etc. They are there to make you go to bed, because that's where you're safe, because the world is too dangerous. Unfortunately, however, we see that every time your stress level became more, you stored more stress in your body. And eventually, the stress that we stored in our body becomes the stress that we're having. We're very much in resistance towards feeling a big accumulation of stress. So therefore, the freeze response doesn't really work. And that means that it becomes chronic. So you're chronically going to create symptoms when the stress becomes too overwhelming. So when you're in the freeze response, you need to actively work on creating safety. But creating safety will make sure that you become in this state of the nervous system that you can actually deal with danger. That means you get a little bit of energy again. Fight or flight energy is really powerful, stressful energy. So you're feeling at this moment, you're feeling that there is something that you need to outrun, something that you need to deal with. But this is probably something that is inside of you. And at that moment, people start to engage in stressful behavior. Dr. John Sarno called that the type A personalities, meaning coping, maybe pushing yourself, performing, pleasing, achieving, reaching for things. But that tells your body that there is danger that you are fighting, and you won't manage to deal with the danger that way. And therefore, you're going again into the freeze response of the autonomic nervous system. And this is the push and crash cycle. And this is basically what a chronic illness looks like. But when we give you enough safety, you're going to wind down. And when you're not engaging too much in these stressful behaviors, you can recognize it before it's too late, and then do the tools from our release program to resolve the stress. And then immediately you're going to calm down. And at that moment, your brain will become quiet again. That's your natural state. Plus, there is no need anymore to be stressed, and there is no need anymore to have symptoms. And this is what I call a release, or let's say a full release. And this is what Tessa has to say about it.
For the first time in my life, I went from thinking to feel and allow my emotions, and honestly, I never want to go back. Around 3 months in, I had my first very big release. I hadn't expected that. It was a really rough day, very symptomatic, and within 30 minutes, everything shifted. After a release session, I started to cry, to shake, to laugh, and it felt like my whole system just let go, and I was completely symptom free after this 30 minutes, and that gave me a really, really deep belief that healing is possible for me. From that point on, everything changed. Step by step, I was able to increase my tolerance for activity and started to take part in everyday life again, and this progress really means everything for me.
So yeah, I really like her enthusiasm about it. If you would like to see more of those videos, we've got many more on our website. And yes, she describes that after like 3 months, he was able to have what I call a full release. That means that in the 3 months before, she did a lot of preparation work that sort of was like brain retraining, telling her limbic brain that it was okay to deal with the underlying stress that she has stored in her body. But after a while, it becomes easier. So there are 3 steps that I would like to show you. In the first step is to create safety. And we do that by, most of all, not engaging ourselves in stressful behavior that is about pushing ourselves, but also with good habits that make your life more predictable, by calming yourself down when you can, by maybe reconnecting with your body, by becoming present. So that's the first step. So then usually you get out of the freeze response into the fight or flight mode. And then you can actually engage more and more with the stressors that are already in your body. So step 2 is doing preparation work. But this can also be called brain retraining. But brain retraining not in a way to push your emotions away, to say swat or swat, I don't want this, but in a way that you become compassionate about yourself, that you train yourself to actually feel what you have inside of your body and to be able to sit with it. So that's the preparation phase. And I've got here or there a video that talks more about it, and that gives you examples of how to do it. And I also put the link in the description. And if you've made it this far in the video, then please like and subscribe. I'm really grateful for that, because most people that are watching the videos are not subscribing. And yeah, well, thanks for doing that. So then let's go to step number 3. Step number 3 is processing the stress and emotions that you've stored in the body. And when you do that, you become emotional and you start crying, and maybe you start screaming or shaking or shivering or sweating. That's great. And I know that especially without the preparation work, there's a lot of resistance. And then you can get really stressed because your body is unconsciously doing whatever it can to not go in, because you haven't trained yourself that these feelings are safe. But after the preparation work, and it was like 3 months for Tessa, you will be able from time to time to do it again. And over time, it becomes much easier. And if you would already like to experiment with that, then I'd like to recommend as well this video, which is about inner child healing. And you can experiment if you can already have a release by connecting with your body. So if you want to do it together already, then please watch the videos that I put in the description. But if you need something else in order to start your healing journey, write in the comments what it is. And if you would like personal help, then feel free to join us in the release program, and we're very happy to have you. Thank you for watching, and I wish you a beautiful healing journey.